Kim Larson, founder of LarsonWeightLoss.com. Today, we're diving deep into what it truly means to live in vibrant health from the inside out. Our guest embodies this mission, guiding her clients to tune into their bodies, align with their deepest truths, and embrace change as a pathway to healing. Joining me is Dana Frost, Master of Certified Life Coach, a functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner, HeartMath Facilitator, and how do you say it? Kaiut?
Kaiut.
Kaiut Yoga Teacher Student.
Mm-hmm.
So Dana's story of unexpected health challenges, self-honesty, and radical transformation has allowed her to show up vulnerably and powerfully for others seeking to heal and thrive. Dana, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kim. It's just such a pleasure to be here.
It's really nice to have you here. After hearing all about you and following you on social media, you're a wild one and so awesome. So it's great to have you
here. Thank you. I have been quiet the past couple of years, but thank you.
So Dana, your journey started to vibrant health came through an unexpected pathway, right? Can you share how?
It did.
Yeah, share how your visit to an ER led to a deeper personal healing.
Yeah, so in 2011, it was summertime, and at that time, my oldest daughter had just graduated from high school, and then I have four underneath her, and I can't so quickly count back. I think Esther was maybe in fifth grade, and we had friends visiting, and we had taken a walk that morning, and I was very, very tired. Like I truly couldn't keep up with my friend. And I
Wow.
told her, go ahead of me. I'm just going to take my time. I'll meet you at home, which is really unusual for me.
Yeah.
And I just thought it's stress, there's a lot going on and I just need rest. Fast forward, we go to a museum, we come home, I'm really, really hungry. And all I can think about, I got to get something healthy. I was always super healthy, cook my own food, pretty much a whole foods diet. I've got to let me quickly make something with some guacamole. So I ended up stabbing myself with a knife, pitting the avocado.
Oh.
And I know, be careful when you're pitting avocados.
Yes.
And I did what I believe most women would do. I was trying to get dinner on the table for my kids. And I was like, I can't deal with this right now. And so I'm going to clean it and I'm going to wrap it and I'm going to continue. And I'll call ER later to see if they're busy.
Wow.
And so that's exactly what I did.
Wow.
And I called ER after dinner. I think it was like we were sitting around the table and I called ER and they were like, it's quiet here. And I went over and I got right in and quickly the questioning became very different from you've stabbed yourself with a knife.
Really?
It was more like my heart rate was 36 beats per minute.
Ooh.
Which is extraordinarily
Really
slow,
low.
which is why I could barely walk. And it's why I kept sitting on a bench at the museum and like walking up, the stairs. I was like, oh, I can barely do this.
Yeah.
So that, they quickly took care of the stab wound and the cardio team came in. And after a lot of questioning and some diagnostics, they decided to admit me because they couldn't quite figure out like what was the origin of the slow heart rate. It's bradycardia is what it's called technically.
What is it called?
And so bradycardia.
Okay.
Tachycardia is when it goes too fast and bradycardia is when it goes too slow. And
Okay.
so I was admitted and a funny little story about that I think that people can relate to. My husband had come home from being away and he came to the emergency room. And I was in the ER, as people know, you're in there for hours before you ever get a hospital bed.
Yeah.
And because I had been the picture of health, like there was nothing other than, I had a 10-year period of stress
Okay.
which it will be really interesting to talk about what stress does to the body, because I
Yes.
really believe this was stress induced.
Yeah.
So I had that, but really, for the most part, there were no other that I was aware of at the time. There were no other underlying conditions. So everybody saw me as this healthy person. I saw myself as a healthy person.
Yeah.
I ate well, I exercised, and he said, "Oh, they just want our insurance. They're doing all these tests. You're fine. You're fine. You know."
Just like a guy.
And I what?
Just like a guy.
Yeah. And I mean, he just couldn't believe it. And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm kind of stuck here. So if that's the case, I'm stuck here. And actually, I said, can't I, when they said, we'd like to observe you for 24 hours, I said, can't I go home? I'll sleep so much better at home. And I promise I'll come back tomorrow. And then, do it during the day. And they were like, it would be dangerous for you to go home. We would
Really?
have to sign you exiting against our recommendations.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, I need to surrender.
Yeah.
And so I was admitted, and I remember being like 2 o'clock in the morning, being on the cardio unit, and a nurse came in, and you're in the hospital at night and it's dark, but they got the little lights on because they need to see you. And then it's all just so disorienting.
Yes.
Um, and the nurse came in and was like, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing here? You're so young." I was
Yeah.
45 at the time.
Oh,
And I was like, "Well, I don't know. Why don't you tell me?"
yeah, exactly.
We're trying to find out.
Yeah.
So that started, what ended up happening is they ruled everything out. So there's one really strong reason why that would happen to a younger person, and that's Lyme's disease. So it took a while. I don't know how long today it takes to get a real Lyme's result back, but at that time it took a little while. And I remember sitting on my back porch, and my doctor called and said, I mean, he called me, not his nurse. He called
Yeah.
me. He had never seen a case like this. And he said, I have news for you. I have good news and I have bad news. Lyme's disease is negative, but you need a pacemaker. Your heart does not want to, it's just not pacing.
And you
And
didn't have Lyme disease?
I did not.
Wow. Okay.
I still don't present, I mean, there aren't any, I have no symptoms of Lyme
Okay.
disease.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you needed a
So,
pacemaker at 45.
yeah.
Wow.
So, um, that, he said, "Dana, I promise you, when you get your pacemaker in, you're going to feel you're going to feel like your old self. You're going to feel normal again." And I didn't.
Oh,
I was still tired. It took 6 months to figure out, like, technically, and this is like for me, the boring part of the story. Technically, the pacemaker it needed to be adjusted.
okay.
So the settings were more for like a 75-year-old woman, and I needed it to have a little more punch to it.
Yeah.
So, but he didn't believe me, and he kept saying, "You just need to relax. You just need to relax." And I said, "Dr. Nazari, there's something that's not right with this, and I know it." Like, I was already a life coach, trained under Dr. Martha Beck, trained in the body compass. Like,
You
clearly there
know
were
health.
some things that, yeah, I mean, clearly there were some things that were, there, we always have blinders. We do. We can't help. We always have blinders. So
Yeah.
clearly I had blinders, but I knew there was something with the pacemaker that wasn't quite right. So it took 6 months to like figure that out. Once that was figured out, with that part of it was fine, but I was still deeply tired. And he just said, "You just need to relax." So I started going to, first I went to my gynecologist, and she said, "Oh, well, women your perimenopause, women your age go on antidepressants." And I said, "I'm not depressed."
Right.
So I don't want to go on antidepressants.
And that's so typical what they
No,
want to do with women is they want to put them
I
on
know.
anti-anxiety or anti-depression.
I
It's
know.
ridiculous.
Yeah. I was like, that's just a hard no. I've never gone back to that. I don't,
Good for
thankfully, I
you.
don't even remember her name. Then I went to the endocrinologist because diabetes is a very strong, um, trait in my family. And I was pre-diabetic. So I was like, okay.
Even
And,
with all
but
your health.
yeah, yeah, because even with all the health, you can still be, I'm no longer pre-diabetic. So I reversed it,
Yeah.
zeroing in on some supplements at the time and diet. That was a wake up call in terms of the diabetes. Do I want to go down the path of my dad? And I didn't. I loved him so
Yeah.
much, but at that had recently, I think at that point he had recently had to start taking insulin. And it clearly, from my perspective, it was a lifestyle issue for him. He had a food
Yeah.
addiction. And he just continued to get bigger and bigger after 40, I think. And then he became obese, and that's very limiting. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to go down that path. So the diabetic thing was pretty quickly reversed. But
Good for you.
interestingly, she said, well, there's nothing you can do about it. You're not diabetic yet. You know, eat this, eat these things. I'm like, yeah, I eat those things. Thank you. I
Yeah.
do. I eat those things. I don't have a
Doctors have
high,
no
I
idea
mean,
about nutrition. They get
they
one class,
don't.
if that.
I know. Yeah. So, um, I pretty much like wrote off the gynecologist, wrote off the endocrinologist, and I started reading myself. And
Good for
I
you.
found a book about adrenal fatigue. So I started cooking the recipes in the book about adrenal fatigue because I'm like, that's definitely me. 10 years of stress. I'm tired when I wake up. I have a slump in the afternoon. And so that resonated a lot. And then in talking to Dr. Nazari, I said, I really need to find more a physician who, I didn't have the language then because I didn't have my functional nutrition training. But I said, I need to find like a holistic doctor because I'm a little bit better, but I'm still tired. And it took me 6 months to get into. She was excellent. He recommended the wife of his colleague, Dr. Ryu, and I went to her for a number of years. She was the right match for me, but she
Yeah.
helped me identify parasites, H. pylori, um, adrenal fatigue. Like she did the actual cortisol di- you know,
Yes.
diagnostics,
Yeah.
and she looked at my hormones. And I spent a year. So after she looked at all that and she mapped it out for me, this is what's happening. And there are different things you could do. So you need to choose, which way you want to go. I mean,
Yeah.
she was excellent. I really appreciated the way that she handled my case. And so I said, well, I'm really intrigued by acupuncture. And they had an acupuncturist who was available, who worked in that clinic. It was an integrative clinic. And I went to her truly religiously for a year. Unless I traveled, I went once a week because I was just so dedicated. And right away, right away I noticed little differences, just little things. Now Dr. Ryu had me add in protein powder in
Okay.
the morning. Like I really needed to amp up my protein.
Yes.
So I did that. She added in some supplements, but the acupuncture eliminated all my perimenopausal symptoms.
Cool.
And I remember I had been having for a while, every time I stepped out of bed in the morning, my feet ached. I had so much pain in my feet. And
Oh,
then I would get going, and it's like, okay, and I never ever mentioned that symptom to her. But after a while, I was like, oh, I have a question. um, my feet don't hurt anymore. I've never mentioned that to you. And she said, yeah, because you collect toxins in your feet. And at that time, I wasn't doing, other than the 2 yoga classes, flow classes I went to, this is the only
yeah.
time I ever did feet up the wall, if they had us do feet up the wall.
Yeah.
And she goes, yeah, you have a lot of toxins. We have a lot of toxins in our feet. And so and probably by getting the meridians going, we probably cleared that. So
That's
that was
amazing.
really interesting. Simultaneously, I read this book by a female cardiologist, Mimi Guarneri. She's on the West Coast. She's in San Diego, and it's
Okay.
When the Heart Speaks. And I read this 2 months after my pacemaker was implanted. And in the book, she talks about her father's heart condition and how she could see correlation with stress, and no cardiologist was really addressing how much stress affects the heart. And so
Yeah.
she made those connections, and then she connected it to the Institute of HeartMath, which is a scientific institute in California. They've been researching the connection between your heart rate variability, which is the vibration that comes from your heart, and your nervous system. And they have discovered that your emotions, so stress, what we would consider, they say depleting and fueling emotions. They don't like
Yeah.
good and bad, because all the emotions are real, and none of them are bad. They made the connections that those emotions change your heart rate variability, which puts stress on your heart and on your nervous system. Your nervous system is reading all of that. And from that reading that the nervous system gets from the heart rate variability, your endocrine system then creates the cascade of hormones. And those hormones then create either health in the body or disease in the body.
Yes.
So that at that, that was confirmation for me. I literally dove into HeartMath. I bought, at that time, you could only get a gadget for your laptop, and you had to sit with your laptop and do your session. I sat with my laptop, did my session, um, and slowly started making the connection between my state and my heart rate variability, because you get some feedback from it, from
Yeah.
the using the device. And yeah, I mean, that really was, that was the that's the thing in the entire health challenge that I practice to this day.
Okay.
Staying very connected with my emotions, and how that, just being present with it, and then knowing that when I'm present with it, the body can feel the emotion and then let it go.
Yes.
You can be really present with it, instead of what was happening before, Kim, is I was letting my emotions just sort of be in charge. And then that the physiology broke down, the adrenals broke
Oh,
down. Your adrenals break down because your blood sugar is dysregulated.
yeah.
And
Or
so
stress. Stress can deregulate it.
yeah, absolutely. So that's that is the health. It just took me on that journey.
Yeah.
I'll say something, just remembering to say something else about it. It was lonely. Like, nobody else was going through it. No one else I knew was going through a health challenge. I mean, if you've had a health challenge, it can be very lonely.
Yes.
And I remember, like, the integrative clinic for North Shore that I went to, it, Dr. Ryu was amazing, but they had it in the community center in Glenview. This is
Okay.
a suburb of
Yeah.
Chicago, and they had it in a community center, and it was below the workout space. And so
Oh,
you could always hear weights dropping. Like, I was doing acupuncture. I really had to just go deep, because, the weights would drop on the floor above, and the ambiance, and also the staff, other than Dr. Ryu, looked very unhealthy. The hospital,
amazing.
the clinic staff looked really unhealthy.
Because they don't serve
And I was
healthy
like,
food at their hospitals.
I know. I was like, there's so much dissonance
Yeah.
in this. What can I do? I mean, over time, I want to be a part of creating something that's better for people who are trying to heal.
Yeah.
And so they don't have to hold themselves. I felt held every week when I went to acupuncture, but when we're in a health crisis, we need a cradle of support,
Yes.
and Um, yeah, so that was another really important variable because that's why I decided I need to get some training so that I can support people who are having a
Yeah.
health crisis. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And there's plenty of them
yeah.
out there.
Yeah. 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 Now, you see there's so much is pot like the wellness industry has exploded since then.
Yes,
There are many more options for people. There are healing centers. So that's a really positive change in a direction that's good for people.
I agree. So you talked about the importance of being honest with yourself to heal. So what did that look like for you during your health challenges?
Oh, I'm trying to put myself back into that time because so we have a big family. We have 5 children. We had our 3 daughters were born in Minneapolis. And then when the youngest was a baby, we moved to South America and we ended up being in South America for 10 years.
Wow.
And during that time, we adopted 2 children who had early childhood trauma. So that 10 years of stress really was, a part of the complexities of integrating 2 children with early childhood trauma into the family.
Yeah.
And
So now
um,
did you have 7 or you had 3 and then the 2 included make it
yeah,
5?
yeah, yeah, yeah. The
Okay.
two make up 5. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So um, I'm trying to think at that because I know 2011 was at one point I got a really good therapist who did EMDR. Are you familiar with that?
No.
It's a super simple, powerful modality that you either hold vibrating nodes
Okay.
or you're doing I that's what I did. And the other one has to do with something with your eyes. You're following something with your eyes. And you take yourself back to very specific episodes of trauma and and you rewire the trauma by looking at exactly how you felt and it it shifts the neurology and I could
Interesting.
literally feel it. I could feel the shifts. I've never been the same. It We went back and looked at every episode. The timeline now gets a little bit fuzzy.
Yeah.
um so when I say being honest with yourself, that's kind of encapsulated in the larger health journey of until we are honest with the myriad of relationships, responsibilities, um, unique, situations, the body already knows what the truth is. And so until you can get your mind to accept what the truth is, that's actually when you can do the work to set it free. To set what's in the body free. And I'm a really firm believer in disease is emotion stuck in the body,
Yes.
or could also be toxin stuck in the body, parasite stuck, exposure to things that aren't um, fueling to our body and or our conscious self, unconscious self, those things that come in and deplete the energy. And so our energy flow is blocked. And life, like vitality, can't happen when the channels are blocked.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so
Yeah.
true.
Hmm.
This episode is brought to you by LarsonHealthWeightLoss.com, your source for mindset tools and sustainability. So now you're doing a 7-day fast. Are you doing it right now?
I did. I finished it
You
yesterday.
did.
So I did. Yeah. It started Sunday and went to Sunday, this past
Okay.
Sunday. And then because the body is primed after a 7-day fast for a gallbladder liver flush, I did that Sunday night and that finished yesterday afternoon.
So tell
And
me
I
about this.
started,
Like, like, what do you consume? Like, I know, like, is it a water fast? Do you do a fat bomb at some point? What is this? What is this flush? Do you go somewhere for the flush? Tell me about this.
well, I want to just say with the flush, I was trained in my nutrition school to do that, and I've done
Okay,
several. So, um, that let me address the water fast first, and I
sure.
can go into the flush secondly. Okay, I've done the form from my framework. The 7 day water fast is water only with sea salt or Celtic salt,
Okay,
mineralized salt, and I've done that one other time in 2021 when I felt after the pandemic, I really felt like I needed a reset. And so I just felt called to it. I mean, was spiritual, it was mental, and I was able to do it. I did it alone. I did it without any guidance because I believe the body is intelligent.
it is.
And yeah, and when you get your mindset that you're going to do something, you can actually do it.
Yes.
I don't, so this water fast was very, very different. I'm excited to talk about it. So thank you for asking me.
Yeah.
Um, because I drank from a spring, not like not my mouth under the spring, but we went, a former client and she did it with me. We went to and gathered the water from a spring outside of Milwaukee that's considered one of the purest forms of water in the US. And
Cool.
there's a website called Find Fresh Water, livingwater.net. I could, if you want to include the link, I'll give you the exact
Okay,
link.
cool. Yeah.
And anyway, so we drank water that came directly from the earth. So when water comes directly from the earth, it's structured. It, it,
Right. It's
it,
structured water.
it,
Yes.
yeah. So by structured, we mean it's alive and it has minerals in it. So it's not like I was mineral deficient during my fast because it already is giving me some the minerals that the basic minerals that I need. And this water fast, now if you're going to do a 7 day water fast, you need to just be hidden away somewhere. You need, because it's not easy. There
Right.
were really hard parts because when you're what I see now, because I've got these two comparisons, the difference is I don't even remember what kind of water I was drinking then, so I don't even know. But this structured water, it knows exactly what the body needs, and it goes exactly where the body wants it to go. And I was asking, my intention was to be nourished at the cellular level and to have cellular memory and to release any ancestral patterns that are still residing
It gives me
in my
goosebumps.
field. Yeah. So um, I was in it. I mean, we did get a colonics. It's really important when you're doing a water fast. And, the first time around, I did those at home. That was much nicer. Now I mean, before I had pre-pandemic, I occasionally would see a hydrocolon. That saying that is always hard. Hydrocolano colonotherapist, however you say that. Um, and then I taught myself how to do them at home. So we had one on Monday. The fast started on Sunday, and then we had one on Friday. That's
Wow.
super supportive, just to help the body release the things that are going into
Flush.
the colon.
Yeah.
Yeah, to flush. And it was I know I released patterns like that. I had a lot of lower back pain that felt like my labor felt. And typically, like
Wow.
lower back pain moving into the hips has to do with ancestral patterns. I've had some issues. I've been exposed to mold in the past year since 2019. I've been
Wow.
working on a parasite, then I was exposed 2 more times to parasites. So for a couple of years, I've been working on you know, these exposures,
Yeah.
and I've pretty much done other than taking medication. I just don't want to I don't want to bomb my whole system.
Good for you.
But inflammation was holding on. My body was holding on because it was fighting the mold. It's been fighting the parasites. And I love what somebody calls parasites unwanted guests, because we have parasites,
Yeah.
but you have parasites that you don't want. So the unwanted guest, and I felt so supported by the water. Like, I came out of this fast having a confirmation that everything I had learned about water over the past 10 years is true, that water actually has consciousness. And water, if you are familiar with Dr. Masaru Emoto out of Japan,
Yes.
he died, I think, in maybe 2014.
Yeah.
His work, what?
Yeah, 2014 or 2015 or yeah.
Sometime around there.
Yeah.
His work centers around putting words in front of water and then crystallizing them and seeing what formed. And what
Yes.
he found is that water formed different crystals based on the letter. Like, hate was deformed, gratitude was, a beautiful crystal. The words that are fueling were like these beautiful expressions of crystals, and then the words that were depleting were deformed crystals, shapeless
Interesting.
crystals. And so, I've always believed that, but to really feel it activating in my body. Oh, Veda Austin is the New Zealand woman who's carried on his work. She has taken the study to the next level, and she has a new book out. If anybody's really interested in learning more, I would access Veda Austin's new book.
Okay.
So to feel that happening in my body and to feel this really deep connection, like water is what we come as an embryo, as a zygote, it's water, it's light and water. The embryo is in water.
Yeah.
Our bodies are mostly water, and so water is so significant. Does water have the capacity to heal? I have to be really honest with you. If you go to a pure source water, I believe it does. I cleared, from what I can see, all my inflammation. And I was laying around resting, and it cleared. I mean, I feel different.
And your body also does this because I'm a certified fasting coach.
Autophagy, yeah.
Autophagy and stem cells. And I mean, your body
Everything.
is so smart about healing itself if you give it the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity and stop eating all the time, right? So yeah, if you give your body the opportunity to, so at like 17 hours plus, autophagy is going on until 72 hours. And then stem cells kick in sometime around 36 hours, right? And people pay thousands of dollars for stem cells. And your body does it for you if you just give it the chance.
It
So
does.
it's really interesting.
It is. This is, our bodies are so intelligent, and we're looking outside of ourselves, for all the shiny objects, when you really, if you will get into nature, get connected to rhythms, the rhythm of your body.
Yeah.
That natural fast of 12 hours a night. And then if you think about, in the past, people didn't have access to food all the time. No, never in the history of humankind have we had access to eating snacks and eating all the time. So what we're asking people to do with extended fasting was just natural. It wasn't like a practice. It was just how they were as humans.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, they didn't have a refrigerator, right? They had to hunt for their food, and whenever they could find it in nature, and if it wasn't there, they didn't eat, so they had to make sure that they could find animals that they could kill, and bringing down a mammoth wasn't a regular thing, right? So that everybody in the family could eat, you just had to, maybe you got a little mouse, or maybe which isn't going to feed everybody, so it's going to feed the hunter, and that's it. So
Mhm.
yeah, so it's really interesting to
Mhm.
listen to, but I've never done and never learned anything about a 7-day water fast. I've done 72 hours. And I also
Mhm.
watched Limitless with Chris Hemsworth. And so
Mhm.
he did
Mhm.
with Peter Attia, he did a longer water
Mhm.
fast as well.
Mhm.
And so we
Mhm.
do LMNT, but it's got a
Mhm.
sweetener in it that I'm like,
Mhm.
so it's good to hear that you just use the Celtic salt.
The Celtic salt is sufficient. It really is. And,
Yeah.
you know, all spiritual traditions have a fasting component.
Yes.
Jesus fasted for 40 days. If we just go to like the spiritual person in our culture who we look to, he fasted for 40 days. Like all spiritual, Buddhism does, Muslims have a fasting practice. That it's not an abnormal thing to do. And I get, I some people are like, oh my god, the first time I did it. Now the people who know me, they're not surprised by it. But are you going to be safe? Is it this? And you know we can trust our bodies. We might need support. It was really, actually, I was supported 3 times by a woman in Bali. This is an interesting story. Can water heal? Her
Okay.
name is Tuli, and she's in Bali. And I was going to go there for the fast, but I just, I was like, I just don't want to travel that far right now. That so much going on in the world, and I just don't want to do it. So
Yeah.
she supported this Linda and I from afar, and how she got into supporting people on fast 7 days and then longer is she's from, I think she's either Dutch or from a Scandinavian country.
Okay.
She was very, very sick. Like she would have died. She was that sick. And she
Wow.
heard from her unknown, like her supernatural guides, to go to Bali and drink from the mountain. And she said, I have nothing to lose. I'm going to go to Bali and drink from the mountain. She healed herself. The water healed her.
Isn't that
She's fine. She's
amazing?
vibrant. She's amazing. And so
Yeah.
she stayed, and this is what she does, is help people with fasting. Um, and yeah, for healing purposes. And I think that in our, particularly in the Western world, we are so dependent on the conventional medical model, that we don't trust what our own body is trying to tell us. You
Yes.
know,
You really have to listen to what's going on.
mhm, mhm,
Yeah, I've got a follower, and he literally, like, he just got a whole bunch of SpaghettiOs and ravioli, the Chef Boyardee ravioli. I said, and I said, "Yuck." And he goes, "Why do you say yuck?" I go, "There are so many chemicals
oh,
that is in that food, canned food. I mean, the can alone is toxic, and then all that food is filled with glyphosate and chemicals and coloring and seed oils and all kinds of garbage." I said, if you're not diseased now, you will be. So, and then he has cases of Diet Coke delivered to his house. I'm like, "Oh my god, you've got to stop eating all this garbage," you know?
yeah, it's not even real. That's
Hot
not even
food.
real food. That's
Yeah,
not even real food. Yeah, and
exactly.
so I hurt for people, because the answers to, you know turning on the body's capacity to heal, the answer is so simple, and it's so within every person's reach,
Yes.
and yet it's elusive to the majority of people,
Yeah,
you
they don't
know.
they don't follow health like you and I do. Like, I follow so many
Mhm.
healers and
Mhm.
uh, functional nutrition people or doctors,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
I listen to podcasts all the time, and I'm invited to
Mhm.
listen on 2-hour sessions of talking about like glutathione or
Mhm.
hormones or,
Mhm.
numerous topics. And I love listening to them to just get more insights and learn more. So, but a lot of people are
Mhm.
not like that. So not like you and me.
I know. That's true. I know. Yeah.
So you've
Yeah.
developed a unique approach that integrates intentionality, holistic practices, and energy work. So what does that look like in your client work?
Mhm. Yeah. So if I'm working with a client on their health, I I want to I want to do a functional intake. And that means going back and getting their health history and just their life history from pre-birth to current. And so it's inquiry, asking lots of questions. It's documenting what are um, the ancestral, health issues, what are the triggers in their life. So really trying to help them identify accidents, life events, um, trauma, anything that happened in their life that could have been a trigger for a health, like antibiotics can be a trigger.
Yeah.
Just really listening to their story deeply to understand what were the triggers, and then what are the mediators, what are the things they can identify that make their symptoms better and worse. And then we look in the center, we call it this is just the framework that I was taught. We call it the soup, and we've got different systems in the body: the digestive system, endocrine system. We have life and community, because life and community is really important. We have exposure. So we've got these different systems in the body, and we document, okay, what are the symptoms? So I'm asking, what are the symptoms? And I'm putting them in what area, what system is impacted by the symptoms. And then we have the strategy. And so that's like the map. And then the strategy on the side is really the modalities that I offer, which would be HeartMath, would be, looking at how are they moving, what's happening energetically. HeartMath is the gateway to understand what's happening energetically, because we tap into the heart rate variability. More importantly, they tap into their own heart space. And so we look at that, and then we want to see how's the energy flowing through their body. How are their joints? What are Kaiut yoga would be one modality that opens the lymph.
Okay.
It The poses put pressure on the joints, it blocks the blood flow, so that when you open, when you release the pose, the blood rushes in, and blood carries your immune system, which can start cleaning things up that are stuck. So we want to look at that. We want to look at the support that they have. When we want to look at what building their capacity for stress, in terms of how they handle stress.
Okay.
And so there are different modalities I use. There's some muscle testing. I use a technology. There are different things I do on the energetic level as well.
Any wearables?
Life wave patches,
What is it?
life wave patches.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So um, I used to only work with um, LED lights, red light, blue light, and infrared light from a
Okay.
company called Enlight Wellness.
Okay.
And so I use that with clients. Those are pads that you put on your body, and then it's plugged into a device, and then you can select a lot of different programs that determines the way that the light is pulsed in.
Okay.
Because if it's just static, think about if you turn on a light, it's static. There's no real nothing, there's no response. But so when you do light therapy, you want it to have a vibrate. You don't feel the vibration. It's in an audible. There are
Okay.
frequencies that are inaudible, and that frequency is pulsing the light based on what you want to have happen into the skin. In 2021, I was introduced to LifeWave light therapy patches, and those, I do I have one here? I'll take one off and show you what it looks like. Looks like this.
Oh, okay.
It looks like a Band-Aid. It's medical grade tape, and it has a frequency in it that it's determined. Whatever the patch does, the scientist has determined what the frequency is
Okay.
in order to activate that frequency in your own system. So it's non-transdermal. We have a glutathione patch. You said that, glutathione
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah.
There's no glutathione in the patch. It's a frequency. The heat in your body activates the frequency. So it's a light therapy. Light is reflected through the skin and sends a frequency to the brain to activate the different changes. Carrie
Okay.
actually uses these.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I was turned on to these by a colleague because I was researching. We've got 2 patches that activate different copper peptides, which indicate stem cell activity.
Okay.
So I was talking to a colleague about my mom and researching stem cell injections, and that, you said it, they're expensive. And knowing my mom's health, knowing her, lack of movement, all the different variables, I'm like, we could spend all this money and it like wouldn't really, her body's not really kind of poised to receive that injection.
Yeah.
And it's really expensive. And so I was just talking to her about it, and she said, well, you could try these patches. They decrease inflammation, they decrease pain. We've got the X39, which increases a copper peptide, GHK, that has to do with skin remodeling, rapid healing. And so I bought her, for her birthday, I bought her the patches. And she said, Dana, I don't know if this is, I don't think that this is in my head, but my swelling. So she has really bad arthritis.
Okay.
And particularly it's bad in her ankles. I don't think it's my imagination, but I feel like my pain's down, and I feel like looks like the swelling's down. And she's never stopped wearing the patches. I mean, has she cured arthritis? No, she hasn't. We're not looking for, is her life better? 100%.
Yeah.
And, I always ask her, what's the headliner this year? She was like, well, I'm still walking. I'm still serving at church. I'm still like doing things that I don't think I would have been able to do, because they had recommended an ankle replacement. And nobody wants to
Wow.
do an ankle replacement because
No.
it's, yeah. So,
Debilitating.
I mean, doctors don't even want to do an ankle replacement. So I became very curious and started using the patches, and I noticed a huge difference in my skin with the patches, huge difference. And
Whoa.
so, yeah, what, for me, the beauty of, okay, if we go back to what I was using with clients before, the pads that you had to plug in and lay down and be in a session for a minimum of 20 minutes. People don't want to do that.
Right. They don't have that kind of time.
They don't have that kind of time. And so for me, this is a prop that people can use to begin supporting the system effortlessly.
Yeah.
And, people have had a lot of success with them. The company is now, I think it's a $500 million company. They're throughout Asia. They have production in Ireland and in the US. They're all throughout Europe. They're in Mexico, Canada, the US. They're
Cool.
expanding globally. So yeah, that would be the wearable.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I love my Apollo. Well, they're wearable. I love my Apollo. I love my Aura Ring.
I love my Oura ring.
Yeah. So
What's your
the ones
Apollo?
that Apollo it's a wrist or ankle. It's worn on your wrist or your ankle, and it's very, very interesting research. And it has frequencies depending upon it has frequency for your nervous system, depending upon what you need. I use it for sleep. I put it on every night for sleep, and it's made a huge, like, it just deepens my sleep. And I can see it on the Oura Ring, right?
Yeah.
And
I'll have to look
so
into that.
anxiety, focus, I have used it before when I was struggling with like needing to create something and I needed focus. I've used it in the focus mode. It seemed to be very effective. Anxiety, the doctor, it was a sleep doctor and a therapist who created it. And they have a lot of research to back up the product. And it's reasonable. I think, well, I bought it at an event at their workshop, so it was less for me, but I feel like it might be $300. I feel like it's reasonable for what they offer is
Yeah.
for anybody
Yeah.
who would need something like that.
For all the insights that you're getting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, can you share a story of a client, like their transformation that deeply moved you?
Hmm. Yeah, I will share one. So I don't know if I should share about the woman I just did the fast with, or I'll share about someone else. Yeah, I'll make it anonymous. Um, I met a woman during my early days of living in Chicago. So I moved to Chicago at the end of 2008.
Okay.
In 2009, in the fall, I was already a life coach. So I started networking with female-owned businesses through this organization called Crave. And we had an event, and I was a speaker, and I met a young woman. She stood up and shared about her business, and I was like, wow, I'm really impressed with her. She built out her salon with her own hand, like physically she built out her salon, and she just seemed really interesting to me. So we were able to engage, in the organization for a few years, and she contacted me after my pacemaker was implanted. She was because I took a break. She was the first client that I took on when I came back to coaching after
Okay.
my health crisis. And she called, and one of her very closest friend had died, and she wasn't sure how to handle it, and she had all this grief. And so she came to me, and over time, obviously I learned her story, and it's really amazing. For her, it's not a health crisis. Although she did later have a health crisis. She was told she had ovarian cancer,
Oh,
and she did not. Anyway,
oh,
she went
and
on
she
vacation.
didn't?
No, and she took the healing into her own hands, and she went to my gynecologist here in Chicago, because I was like, okay. I mean, anyway, she working, and I'm like, well, go see another doctor.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's kind of serious cancer. You don't. And my doctor listened and said, yeah, I don't think that you do. And all the things you're doing are working. Whatever you're doing, you need to keep doing them.
Cool.
So, but for that is after, she felt empowered after she went through this really dedicated process of looking at her history. I mean, she has a pretty traumatizing childhood. And we looked at that, and we looked at her feelings and the different events that had happened in her life, and, how we looked at it, how it impacts her today. And we used all the tools, and, you know, she it's amazing. I mean, it's really amazing where she is today. And to the point of going through this, very serious health issue, and being empowered to say, I'm in charge here. I'm not going to subjugate or turn my body autonomy over to someone else.
Yeah. Good for her. I mean, she's listening
Yeah.
to her own body and what do I need?
Mhm.
Because everybody's
Mhm.
different, right? So everybody needs something different.
Yeah, and you know what? I do respect the medical community. You know,
We still
we're all
need them.
different. Yeah, we do, and we're all different. And just because I've chosen this path doesn't mean it's the right path for somebody else.
Right.
You know, I had a very intimate person in my life have be diagnosed with something and had to make a decision. I would have made a different decision, but they get to make the decision that's right for them, and I want to
Right.
support them. And it's not an either or. It can be both and but it's helping that person get to what's their right decision, what's their decision for their own sense of feeling empowered. So for this person, my intimate family member, it felt empowering to have a surgery, and that's where they felt empowered. So it's really important to honor each person's sovereignty over their own life, over their health, over their body, and then work within that. We can all, like, as
Yeah.
practitioners, we can work within the sovereign boundaries of the people we work with. I really believe
I
that.
agree. I agree.
Mhm. Mhm.
So you're listening to the Larson Health Podcast with Dana Frost. Visit larsonhealthweightloss.com for personalized wellness resources and whole life healing tips. So
Mhm.
Dana, many believe that, health is just diet and exercise. What misconceptions do you see and how do you help clients see the bigger picture?
Yeah. Well, I think number one, when a client, and this is what my doctor did for me, when a client can see their kind of their whole life in essence mapped out, um, that gives them, a perspective for, okay, then where do I go from here? Now, so what was your question specifically though? Um,
Just
if
like, yeah, what misconceptions do they see and how do you help your
Oh,
clients see the
misconceptions.
bigger
That's right.
picture?
That's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. So when they can see that, that gives them a framework and a vision. And I think what's easily missed is how the things that have happened in our life impact us today still.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be
It's
just
amazing.
emotional, but if we don't deal with those things, if we don't create the space, and I know it's hard to create the space, but you deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve to create some space to heal and look at those things.
Yeah.
If we don't, like, if I wouldn't have been committed to go to the therapist once a week, I wouldn't have healed the challenges I had with my adopted daughter, and that just would have been a tragedy.
Yes.
It would
Good
have
for
been a
you.
it would have been a tragedy,
Yeah.
for me not to take the time to deal with why I was activated. I was
Yeah.
activated. I need to take responsibility for me. And um, I can put somebody on a perfect protocol. And if they haven't taken the time to do that work, sometimes it doesn't work.
Right. They've really got to commit to their health. And if they can't commit to their health, they can't be a client.
Yeah, they have to commit to the whole system. So their mental
Yeah.
health and their emotional health, it's, it's like this. Everything connects in. It's not
Yes.
what we see is that your endocrine system, that's a different doctor. Your digestive system is a different doctor. Your brain health is a different doctor.
Yeah.
And your heart and they don't communicate. They're
Yeah.
disparate.
Yeah.
And but it's all connected, and everything that's ever happened to you is also in the loop. And so the work is to get inside of that loop and see how one thing leads to another. And
Yes.
what I have found when someone is committed to that, like the client I mentioned earlier, the example I gave, the body seeks homeostasis. It really does. And it will start giving you positive feedback. It'll start responding quickly. It really will.
It's amazing.
It will respond quickly.
Yeah.
So I think honestly, that's really the biggest thing. The biggest thing that we miss, um, that, there are fads and,
Of
whatever,
course there are.
but I think
Yeah.
that at the heart of it, I think that's the biggest thing that we miss.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
tell me a little bit more about the heart math. You touched about on it just a little bit, but being a heart math
Hmm.
facilitator, can you
Hmm.
like help me understand like what's the heart space it contributes to overall
Mhm.
health? Is that what it
Mhm.
is?
Yeah, so think about when your heart is the first thing that starts to develop in embryo. And it's the vibration that is being emitted. And when you're born, so your heart rate is the difference between your parasympathetic and your sympathetic, which is just the sympathetic is it's going fast, that's putting your foot on the gas. Parasympathetic, putting your foot on the brake. And we're in every moment, we're back and forth, and so Your heart rate variability, you see it on an echocardiogram, it's the up and down. That's your heart rate
Yeah.
variability. And what HeartMath has shown is that they can read your emotional state by reading your heart rate variability.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting. Um, and so what they have done is
And a
they
higher
create.
heart rate variability is better for you, isn't it?
Oh yeah, back to the baby. Thank you, Kim, for taking me back. So when your babies have the highest heart rate variability, and think about it, so you've got this potential life force as a baby, this great potential as a baby, and as we age, and some of us are hoping to age differently, but if we just look at our modern ancestors, you know, their life force goes down, their heart rate variability goes down. And there's no flexibility in it. So when there's greater distance, there's greater flexibility. You can see this even, so I have 2 grandchildren. You can see it in their joints. Children have greater flexibility in their joints. We lose flexibility in our
Yeah.
joints as we age. All of that is life force, it's resilience, it's potential. So
Yeah.
the heart rate variability is demonstrating that potential. So it's high when you're born, and when you die, what happens? You flatline. That's
Wow.
your flat line.
Yeah.
And so it has, I think it has everything to do with health. And then if, from my perspective, the breath is represented, you tie the soul in, because the breath represents your soul. In ancient languages, breath had to do with spirit. And what do we do when we come out of the womb? What's the most important thing we do when we come
Start
out of the
breathing.
womb? We take our first breath,
Yeah.
and then we take our last breath. And then the soul is finished with the body. So
It's
HeartMath
amazing.
has, well, yeah, I mean, your heart rate variability, it shows if you go to elevation, it lowers. This is what we get on the Aura Ring. We can
Yeah.
tell what's happening. The Aura Ring gives there are other trackables that give you information. And then
Yeah.
if somebody is super curious, it's helpful to have the data.
It
You
is. It
don't,
really
you
is.
don't need it, but it's really helpful because you're more motivated when you see what's happening, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Mm-hmm.
when you look at longevity experts like Peter Attia
Uh-huh.
or David Asprey, who I'm not so keen on, but you know, they talk about your heart rate variability and how, you know, as
Mm-hmm.
they age, they're working so hard to increase their heart rate variability by
Mm-hmm.
working out, staying
Mm-hmm.
fit, eating right, getting good sleep, lowering the
Mm-hmm.
stress, you know, all those things that are
Mm-hmm.
so important to making sure that your body is healthy and also not
Mm-hmm.
the environmental toxins, right? Making sure that you don't have
Mm-hmm.
any of those toxins, making sure you're not getting seed oils or
Mm-hmm.
paint fumes or, you know, what all those different toxins, right? That you can possibly get
Mm-hmm.
mercury from fish or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so it's amazing to hear all these different things that can impact your body, like you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about prediabetes or, you know, any of
Mm-hmm.
these things. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
I had a similar story to you in the sense of the prediabetes. My mother has it, my grandmother had it, my brother has it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it runs in the family. And so I had gained
Mm-hmm.
weight during COVID. I had gained prediabetes, high blood pressure, high
Mm-hmm.
triglycerides, arthritis, and then Hashimoto's.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I suddenly went into this discovery of getting my functional nutrition training and understanding how can I heal my body. And I had actually originally got
Mm-hmm.
with a health coach who helped me
Mm-hmm.
lose the weight. And then
Oh, good.
that's when I started helping others to lose the weight. And then I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
need to learn more. Like, why does this happen to our
Mm-hmm.
body? What happens when we go through menopause? Why does our body
Mm-hmm.
change and not defending our body as well as
Mm-hmm.
when we were in our 20s? What's going on there?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it was
Mm-hmm.
interesting to learn all of this insight and understanding
Mm-hmm.
of how we can use food as our
Mm-hmm.
medicine and shift
Mm-hmm.
the direction. So I don't have arthritis anymore. I don't have
Right.
prediabetes. I don't have any of this stuff anymore. Right. And I realized it was
Mm-hmm.
gluten. For me, it was gluten and peanuts, but it's not the same for
Mm-hmm.
everybody. Right. So
Yeah, that's
we-
so true. It's not the same for everybody. Yeah, it's not.
yeah. But, all the
Mhm.
things that are sprayed with glyphosate and the genetically modified
Mhm.
organisms that are out there that this is a big science experiment, right? We don't really know everything just yet, but I recognize that for me, it was wheat. And if I eat a non-bromated wheat, I won't have as many problems. But if I'm eating something that's, from a bakery that is doing a
Mhm.
really quality fermented bread, whereas if I go to get, Wonder Bread that has the toxic chemical
Mhm.
list, it used to be wheat, eggs, maybe
I know.
sugar, and it had 4 ingredients before. Now it
Mhm.
has about 50 ingredients, and it's just all toxicity and colors and brighteners and
Mhm.
glyphosate, which formerly was Roundup, which was formerly
Mhm.
Agent Orange, right? I mean,
Mhm.
we all know that this is toxic stuff. They just keep renaming it.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
amazing. Yeah. So I love
It
talking to
is.
you, and you
Mhm.
understand all of this.
Mhm. Yeah, well, and at what point was guar gum in everything? Like, it's hard for me
Yeah.
to find whipping cream that doesn't have guar gum. I'm like,
Yeah.
whipping cream was always just cream and milk or
Yeah.
cream, pure cream. Like, and
Yeah.
now
And
it's
vanilla.
yeah. So yeah, it is. We
Yeah. So
are
we just make our
swimming
own
in yeah, 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 yeah. We are swimming. You make your own with milk or
A2
you have
cream.
cows? Oh, okay,
A2
yeah.
cream.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah, yeah.
organic stores nearby, so we get A2 cream, and then we
Nice.
blend it up ourselves with a little bit
Mhm.
of vanilla extract, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's
Nice. Yeah.
delicious.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, for a dessert, right? A little whipped cream and some
Oh,
strawberries,
yeah, I
you
love
know?
yeah, 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 for sure.
It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
for someone feeling disconnected from their body, where can they begin to
Mhm.
build that connection? Like, do you see this in your practice
Mhm. Oh, of course. With their breath.
with their breath? Okay.
It's the easiest place. You just go right to your breath. We all have to breathe. So
Yeah.
I start my clients with just reminding yourself that the four qualities of a healthy breath are deep, slow, quiet, and regular. Deep, slow, quiet, regular. So it's deep, it goes down into the tummy inflates. It's quiet. Unless you're having an obstruction, no one else should be able to hear your breath. It should be quiet. And some people have obstructions, we get sick. So um, if your breath is audible to other people, it can be indicative of a nervous system dysregulation.
Okay.
So it's
Other than in
quiet.
yoga when they make you go, "Ah."
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's different. Yeah, that's definitely different. So deep, slow. No, yeah, slow. So the healthy everyday breath, it feels slow. It's not rushed. I mean, unless you're in a hurry, then it's going to be rushed. That's normal. But just your everyday, it's slow, deep, slow, quiet, and regular. So this gets back to the heart rate variability. The inhale and the exhale is roughly the same, and
The same, like, in
they'll
time or the same
in
in what?
time. Yeah, like
Okay.
yeah, like inhale 1, 2, exhale 1, 2. And
Or
they
1, 2, 3,
say
4, 1,
inhaling,
2, 3, 4. Okay.
yeah, they say like to 5 is really good, but I have yet to have a client really be able to start with 5. That's really hard if
Really?
you've never focused on
They've
your
always been a
breath.
shallow breather.
Yeah, so I start there and then, ha ask them to check in regularly. When you're at a stoplight or whatever, is it deep, slow, quiet, regular, and train the mind and the body to be checking that regularly. And then we start with HeartMath. And I think it's a great place to start because then you're connecting to your soul. Anytime you turn your attention to your heart, you're already increasing your heart field. So your heart field goes way beyond you. Your brain goes just like barely leaves your skin, your brain waves. So I start with the heart and we just start with heart focused breathing. That's like the step one. Visualize the inhale and exhale to flow to and from your heart. So it's not breathing, it's not like you're not physically, it's deep, slow, quiet, regular, but the visualization, so you tap into what's already happening in the field is flowing to and from the heart center. That's just
Beautiful.
heart focused breathing. And
Yeah.
then we'll bring in the inner ease technique. And then the inner ease technique is you're breathing, you you do heart focused breathing, focus on inhale, exhale, flowing to and from the heart. And then you draw up the feeling of inner ease. I already felt that shift in my body. Immediately, I felt a shift. Inner ease, flow inner ease to and from your heart center. It's a visualization. You can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
Inner ease flowing. I literally can feel it. The
Can you just by
vibrations
saying
flowing.
it?
Yeah, just flowing to and from the heart center. And that's amazing what that can shift when you bring, those are just the very first two steps of HeartMath. But we start there, and then we start with the body compass, which is a Dr. Martha Beck tool. And
Okay.
that's several sessions where you're noting the most difficult times in your life and how your body, what was happening physiologically during those times. And then you're noticing the best times in your life, or like the times, you could just say the times where you really felt yourself, or you felt happy, or you felt alive, things were going your way. And then the times that were a time, it really doesn't have to be your most traumatic moment. Sometimes that's just too much for somebody. So just
Yeah.
think about a time that was really hard, and what your body is going to give you signs. It's going to give you physiology that you can tap into. Maybe you get herpes, or you get back pain, or um, you feel like your breath is shallow, or you feel really tired, or you feel really hyper. What are some of those things that are happening? And we map that out. And then we do a 24-hour tracking, where over a period of 24 hours, we're looking at how are you responding? How is your body? Not your mind, just your body, in everything that you're doing. When you're brushing your teeth, when you're engaging with your partner, when you're talking with your kids, when you're at work. How is your body responding? Does it feel in flow? Does it feel constricted? So we're really looking for flow and constriction, because when things agree with us, the body is not constricting. It's in flow, like it's resilient. It feels like inner ease. When something doesn't agree with us, you can feel tension. Even if it's just like a little bit of tension somewhere, you can feel it, you can tap into it.
Yeah.
And that gives you the information. Information is power. You map that out. It gives you information, insights about, okay, this is how my body really feels about my life right now. And then, what can you shift? Sometimes baby steps will get you anywhere. You don't have to make the biggest decision. You just take a baby step, and your body will reward you for a baby step. You don't
Yes.
have to take a leap. You need to feel, the body needs to feel safe. And that even, like, I think I'm just going to bring up Kaiut Yoga. When I started doing Kaiut Yoga, I had a residual, almost frozen shoulder in my left shoulder. So my pacemaker is left side,
Okay.
and that shoulder, because what did I do during that whole time? I did this. I held it in. I was like protecting. I did
Yeah.
this for a couple years. I was doing this.
Yeah.
And it created a frozen shoulder. I could have had surgery. I mean, all the things. Um, and Kaiut Yoga set it free, but it was over a couple years. And Francisco Kaiut, the creator of the method, he said, there were positions for the shoulder restriction. And he said, you need to feel really safe in the practice. Your nervous system needs to be totally relaxed. So it was a progression of, you know, it was a progression of safety, of
Okay.
releasing my shoulder. And then there was a moment when I felt so safe with Kaiut Yoga that I trusted it. And then he was like, okay, let's make it a little uncomfortable. And we set it free.
That's amazing.
That's how we all want safety. We want to feel safe. We don't
Yes.
want to feel like, so we've got to baby steps. That's the way.
So I've never heard of Kaiut Yoga. So what is that?
Yeah. Kaiut Yoga was created by Francisco Kaiut. He's a Brazilian, and He comes out of chiropractic and yoga and pain. So he had a childhood injury, yoga, and I think it was maybe Ashtanga yoga. I don't, no. I don't remember because I'm not like that kind of a yogi.
Okay.
To remember all, but anyway, yoga really helped him with his pain. As a chiropractor, he could see patterns in people, and he created a yoga method for people who have pain, but he could see that the nervous system is so connected
Yes.
with the pain.
The
And
alliance with
so
your spine and your hips and your
everything,
everything. Yeah.
yeah. So he created Kaiut Yoga. It looks very different than other yoga. The positions might feel familiar to people, but you hold the position for a long time. There's no music. It's not flow. You have an instructor who's giving you cues and telling you where to put, and they might walk over and support you. At the time that I learned from him, he was this is pre-COVID. He wasn't.
Okay.
There was nothing online. Now
Yeah.
you actually can engage with Kaiut Yoga virtually. They
Okay.
have a very, they developed during COVID. They developed a platform
Cool.
virtually. So it's big in Brazil. It started in the US in Boulder, and I have a very good friend who lives in Boulder, which is how I got exposed to it.
Okay.
So it's in places in Colorado, places in California, primarily centered around Sacramento. I know there's a big practice in Austin, St. Louis. There's a big practice in Delaware. And,
Maybe you should start one in
it's kind of,
Chicago.
yeah, Kim, guess what? The weekend Chicago shut down. Do you know how many bolsters I have? About 30, because I bought 30 bolsters to start
Really?
teaching Kaiut Yoga. I led 2 Kaiut Yoga retreats, and then I had enough people, and the weekend it was either this Saturday or I think it was the Sunday that after the city, right before the city shut down, I had a workshop, and then I was going to start teaching, and I have enough bolsters to teach. And Chicago shut down. And, to me, it was a very in-person, hands-on experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I did it with clients virtually, and it just, it wasn't a fit for me to teach it virtually.
It just wasn't.
So I
Yeah.
never,
And
yeah.
you don't want to do it
So
now.
I don't want to do it virtually. I mean, if I started teaching, and I have thought a lot about it, because it's so practical, and
Yeah.
I mean, Francisco has gotten people out of wheelchairs. It's
That's
amazing. And
amazing.
what I love about it is the people who are engaged are of all ages, all body shapes. It doesn't look like everyone in the fancy yoga clothes.
Yeah.
It's,
The
it's
Lululemons or whatever.
yeah, it's not like that at all. And when my friend took me first, she introduced me to it in Boulder, and then I went on the Kaiut Yoga retreat, and I thought, oh my gosh, all these people coming from Boulder, they're going to be smoking dope, and like, they're not going to really be my type, and they're going to all be in there.
They're
Maybe
not.
they're and it just wasn't like that. It
Yeah.
was just people, yeah, people all different ages, like a woman in her 80s. Like, there are so many different
Cool.
kinds of people who do it. Um, so that's Kaiut Yoga. So anyway, you can access Kaiut Yoga online now, which
Online.
is wonderful. Yeah,
That's really cool. Yeah.
really, really wonderful. But yeah, if I were going to open a studio, it would be in Miami, I think.
Oh, Miami. There you go.
I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a great place. Why
yeah.
not?
It's a little better place to have a business than Chicago.
Yes, I agree. Florida is a great place to have a
Hmm.
business. So
Hmm.
are you
Yeah.
planning to move to Florida?
I live there. That's actually my permanent residence.
Oh, it is.
It is.
In
Yes.
Miami.
Miami. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, so you got out of
We
Chicago.
I did also.
Oh, good for
I did.
you.
I
You
did.
didn't
I'm
mention
here in the
that.
summer. Yeah. What was that?
You didn't mention that earlier.
Yeah, I did. I didn't want to make that the focus, but yeah, I did get out of Chicago. The pandemic was very, very hard in Chicago, and they were
Yes.
going to, our building that we live in was mandating how many people we could have
On an elevator.
for, no, well, that for sure, but for Thanksgiving and in our
Oh,
units. And so I rented a house in Florida for 3 months over the winter, and I was like, I don't want to go back. And then we bought property on Miami Beach. And
good for you.
the thing is, my daughter, who has my grandchildren, moved to Chicago.
Oh,
So I do, and my husband still is work. I mean, he's still location specific with his work.
okay.
And then we have 4 daughters who live here. So there
In
is,
Miami?
no, in
In
Chicago.
Chicago. Oh my God.
I know. So there is,
So you go back all the time.
well, not when it's winter, but it is Miami's my primary residence, but I mean, I try to spend the summer for sure, all of the summer here
Yeah.
in Chicago.
So you're in Chicago now.
I am in Chicago now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
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 Cool. Well, that's nice.
Yeah. Hmm.
All right. This segment of the Larson Health Podcast is sponsored by LarsonHealthWeightLoss.com, where science meets real life wellness solutions. So, Dana, what does vibrant, vital health mean to you personally and professionally today?
Vibrant, vital health means that you feel good in your body. Basically, you feel alive. You feel like you have the capacity to fulfill whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
capable, you're able,
Yeah.
and you feel
Yeah.
confident about being able to do that.
Mhm. Mhm.
I agree. That's wonderful. Yeah. It's a great way to say
Yeah.
it. So, for listeners who feel overwhelmed or disconnected from themselves,
Mhm.
what's one small but powerful step they can take right now?
I keep things really simple, Kim.
Okay, good.
Create an island of respite for yourself.
Yeah.
So, and I call that quiet time for my clients. Start a quiet time practice, and that can look a lot of different ways. We're
Yeah.
all different. We all have different things we believe, different ways, but in this in the hectic world, like, it's hard to connect to yourself if you don't have the space. So create the space to connect to yourself. And I'll have clients start out with a minute, 2 minutes. I can think of one client who that was just her biggest struggle. She has a big job. She was always in motion, grew up as a worker, working, just work, 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 and always in motion. And I actually had her on my podcast to talk about quiet time and this
Interesting.
and the quiet. And um, because it's become a huge part of her life.
Has it
That
helped her?
and it can start. It's huge. You should listen to the podcast that where she was a guest on my podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, because and sh yeah, you quiet the noise and you discover what's happening in here, and you're actually even giving your system, your full body system, your mind, your body, your soul, you're giving it the attention it wants. It doesn't it wants to be with you, to commune with you, to be present with you. And the way to connect is to disconnect externally and connect internally. And you have to create the space for that. So you could create a little space in your house,
Yeah.
just whatever is the easiest, create some space, physical, and then turn your focus on and just be there. And
Yes.
you can start with something as simple as, okay, I'm going to focus on my breath, deep, so quiet, regular. I'm going to focus on heart, focus breathing. And then maybe I'm going to add some inner ease. And then maybe I'm then going to just start asking, how do I feel? And just listen. What's
Yes.
coming up? If I close things down, what's going on inside?
So what was the name of that
That's the
podcast?
thing.
Because you have a lot of podcasts. Do you remember what the session was, or what was the main premise of the session?
Stillness. I can
Stillness.
find it. Do you want
Okay.
me to?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
want me to? I'll. Okay. I need to write notes for follow up with you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because
Hmm.
I'm curious because I'd love to hear it.
I'll
So,
send it to you.
all right, good. So,
Yeah.
so finally, what's next for you in your mission to help others step into vibrant integrated health?
Thank you for asking. I wish I don't know when this episode will be posted, but I'm trying to finish my landing page for that because my website is down right now because I'm not offering what my website offered before. So my next offer
I'll share it with you later
is
today.
okay. Yeah, my next offer is working with me for a year, and I'm only taking 5 clients, and it's doing um, if you need the if you need the help, anything that I offer, it's that, but it's also moving into some sacred geometry, creating like really discovering what is your own personal sacred geometry, moving more into some meditation and some spiritual work. And when I say spiritual, it's not a religion, it's just really connecting into yourself as a spiritual person. And so it's everything that we've talked about. Everyone's different, everybody needs something different, but
Yes.
it's really stepping into sacred work for a year with me. That's my next offer, and I will be not until I go to Bali for training, but I'm going to train under Tuli to
Cool.
help people with 7-day water fasts.
Cool. Oh, I can't
Yeah,
wait.
that won't be. That's probably a year. That's probably a year away.
Okay. Well, next year then.
Yeah,
I want to do that with
yeah.
you.
It's probably it's not this year. It's not 2025. That's for sure 2026. Or maybe it could be 2027. We never know what's going to happen, right?
True. That's true. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll have to have you back on the podcast because there's just so much more we can talk about. So, Dana, thank you for sharing your powerful story from an unexpected ER visit to living and teaching vibrant
Yeah.
health. Your journey reminds us that, healing begins with honesty, right? Presence and the courage
Mhm.
to embrace change. To our listeners,
Mhm.
remember, integrated health starts with you today, in this moment. Your healing doesn't need to wait for tomorrow. Begin now, wherever you are. Visit
Mhm.
larsonhealthweightloss.com for tools, support, and real life strategies to reclaim your health, vitality, and joy, one empowered step at a time. Until next time, nourish your body, center your heart, and live with intention. So from Dana, you can reach her at Instagram at Dana Frost, Facebook, Dana Frost Wellness. Her website, is it up?
It's down right now.
Okay, okay. Well, keep looking for it. It's
Yeah.
danafrost.com.
Uh-huh.
Or you can check me out at Instagram at Larson Health WL, Facebook at Kim Larson Health, YouTube at the Coach Kim Larson. And I hope you guys have a fabulous day. All right, cool.